Kudos to Arsenal because in spite of they are probably the best two players being one was unavailable, the other one has been out of form, but they're still performing and scoring the goals, and they are almost at the top of the league. Considering, let's talk about the team at the top of the league. How does it feel to be below Tottenham in spite of playing so well, Arsenal? Arafat.
Um, I mean, I
You
wouldn't
expect them to lose
say.
eventually, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely hoping they lose eventually, hoping they fall off a cliff eventually, like we did last season. But yeah, they're playing excellent football, and they've had this effect of a new manager come in, make a lot of tactical changes, get James Maddison, who has been absolutely brilliant, use Son as the number nine. So probably once other teams start figuring out how to counter Tottenham, I think they may find it difficult. I mean, if I don't hope for any injuries, but yeah, if
Yeah.
their performance can also take a beating if one of their key players like Son or Madison comes up
Even their
injured.
defensive partnership for that matter. If Van de Ven gets injured or something of that sort, will really affect
Yeah,
them because
I
he has
I
been
think the
phenomenal.
secret to figuring out Spurs will be somebody will put a man on Madison for the whole game. Just man mark Madison throughout the whole game, follow
throughout.
him everywhere around the pitch. And that will be the game that Spurs will be ineffective
And
because he's
and
pulling strings. He comes deep, he comes forward, he's playing all over the pitch and doing
Madison
everything.
has done this for Leicester teams before finally fizzling out at the end of the season many a times if you remember. After their title winning season there were two times when they were threatening to finish fourth or third and then end up eventually finishing fifth. He does tire out eventually, I guess. Uh,
Mm. And injuries,
eh,
Yeah.
which is always
Injuries, exactly. Uh, no, I mean the only thing is it's very difficult to hate Ange as a person because I was just looking at a letter from an Arsenal fan who said he's also a Rangers fan, and for some reason it's just difficult to hate Ange Postecoglou for some reason. Like he's the manager
Yeah,
that you would love to have in your team, whoever it is.
he brings a lot of experience as well. I think he's a lot of lived experience throughout the years in different countries. I think, and he, at heart, he seems like a very nice person, very likable person, and that comes across, especially if you watched one of their fan forums. He got one of their fans to ask a question
bouncing
right
no
at
problem.
the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was really, really good. That just shows how, I mean, he's basically a likable character, and
And more
that's a
importantly,
far cry
one
from the Mourinho Conte days,
true.
where
One
we
last
could, as
question.
an Arsenal fan, we could
You could hate the
easily
manager.
dislike the manager.
And the rest of the Premier League hated both your managers. So currently
Deepak,
we
one
are,
question for you. Just one
yeah.
question. So there was this manager who came from Japan to North London and won the league and took over the Premier League. Do you think the next manager who has come from Japan via Scotland will do well in North London and probably
Is
win the Premier
Ange
League?
doing a Wenger is your question.
Exactly. And how will that make Arsenal feel?
Well, I think they'll be searching for similarities to be absolutely fair.
Totally, yeah.
But
More like a
I,
Ranieri if he can do something.
yeah, exactly. I think he's doing an incredible job, but it's also a result of Spurs having a really good squad and Conte not really being taking advantage of it and picking personal battles within the team, which ended up, you know,
Yeah,
combusting himself in the process. I think now Ange has a good team. He knows how to play. He doesn't really need to figure out a way to always put Harry Kane in there. There's no pressure of is Harry Kane going, is Harry Kane staying after every game. Nobody asks him that question. So it's far more freer now, and I think it's as a result of all this together, he's playing football which the players love to play, which he loves to play, and everybody's enjoying it. All that said,
and
there will be a
also.
point where somebody will figure him out, I think,
Wha-
and let's see
One
how
And
it
more.
goes.
Okay.
also, I think reading a lot of reports, he's brought about a lot of cultural change in Tottenham as well, similar to Arteta at Arsenal. He's um, he's become a very likable figure in the club, and he's kind of gone about changing the whole club itself and not just manage the team. So
Hmm.
Uh,
I think I
one more.
had this
Okay.
interesting notion. I read it somewhere that when a manager comes in after a very toxic period for the club and changes that toxic environment and puts in a fresh, genuine face and just goes about their task doing well,
Yeah.
wins the first few games, everybody thinks of him as the next big thing. But eventually, when that goodwill sort of fizzles out, then you need the tactical
yeah,
nerves to take over. You need to be properly good because you can only sustain wins on goodwill only so far. And I think that's what happened to
yeah,
Solskjaer. Solskjaer was a very similar situation. He came in, everybody loved him. He was the heartthrob of the club. He came in after a very toxic period for the club, and Manchester United reaped the benefits. But after that, the tactical nerves failed him. I don't know whether that the same thing will happen for
Oh,
Angie.
honestly, I think Solskjaer never should have been signed for a long time in the first place. And me and quite a few fans, honestly speaking, a lot of them had already
Mm.
called him out right at the beginning. But the problem, I mean, Manchester United has a lot of problems, and some of them are also the pundits who somehow are all from Manchester United who keep supporting their own people who they have played with. So,
Rio Ferdinand.
but I
not
think
just him, almost all of them.
straight off the bat, it seems like Ange Postecoglou seems to be a bit more tactically aware
Yeah.
Not bit more.
than
I'm
Solskjaer.
very sure he's
A
better than
lot more, I
Solskjaer
think.
as a manager.
Also, Ange
A lot
has
more
decades more of experience as a manager than
experience.
Solskjaer.
Exactly.
Yeah.